Busch Gardens Tampa Bay. One of the better roller coaster parks in the United States of America, Busch Gardens offers a great lineup of coasters with 3 of the top 10 roller coasters that I've ridden. With 2 terrific classic B&M coasters, a brand new RMC Hyper coaster, a dive coaster, and a great coasters for families, Busch Gardens Tampa has a coaster lineup for everyone. For that reason, I'd like to rank my favorite roller coasters at Busch Gardens. For my rankings, there'll be a mix of how much I simply enjoy the coaster and how good I think it is from a technical standpoint. Number 10, Air Grover. Not ranked. This kiddie coaster has a big train and a big layout with just a few nice little curved drops. Nothing great or memorable, but big enough for a kiddie coaster. Number 9, Cobra's Curse. Overall, 2. This spinning coaster has a lot of theming to it, but the theming seems to get convoluted in the execution, especially with the lines that are said to you while you're on the ride. Since most of this coaster is a controlled spin, there's little actual free spinning, though you do get to go backwards for a short bit. As much as I love family spinning coasters like Six Flags Pandemonium, I just find this coaster rather basic without too many redeeming elements, though the elevator lift is pretty scary. Number 8, Sand Serpent. Overall, 3. A classic Wild Mouse coaster, but I do have a special place in my heart for the strong laterals and the nice feelings on the small drops. Nothing great, but overall an enjoyable experience that I always look forward to. Number 7, Montu. Overall, 6. Despite my general dislike for B&M Inverted coaster, Montu is a solid ride. It doesn't seem to whip me around as much as other B&M Inverted coasters, has enough breaks between the inversions, offers decent theming while being close to the ground, and has an absolutely fantastic inversion in the very first Sidewinder. The drop isn't much better than your average drop on one of these types of coasters, despite its height, and the vertical loop loses some of its power due to its height. Others will likely rank this coaster much higher, which is fine, but this coaster and this ranking is about my limit for this type of coaster. Number 6, Tigris. Overall, 7. These Sky Coaster 2 clones offer a solid ride, especially if you can choose your row, as it is very seat dependent. My favorite for Tigris is the front row, as you get some hang time on both the forwards and the backwards launches before getting to enjoy the great visuals of completing the course. Others I know prefer the back for the superior drop feelings and whips. I would suggest that you try out as many different rows on Tigris as you can. However, due to the single train this coaster runs, it can be challenging to get multiple re-rides to find that perfect row of choice. Number 5, Scorpion. Overall, 7. This classic steel looping Schwarzkopf looks like a basic looping family coaster, and in many ways, it is. But man, is it fun! Despite its size, Scorpion offers a bit of everything you could want on a coaster, from a forceful loop to an enjoyably forceful helix to some other elements sprinkled throughout. The curved drop and lack of solid airtime are missed elements for sure, but this style of coaster simply delivers so well that it is hard to find a large amount of fault in what Scorpion is. Number 4, Kumba. Overall, 8. This classic B&M steel coaster has always used traditional seats. No gimmicks like stand-up or floorless trains, and honestly, it doesn't need any of that. The corkscrews as well as the loop around the chain lift are iconic and beautiful, and the layout through the trees adds a fantastic touch. Kumba runs glass smooth, so very few inversions beat you up. My largest complaint are that the chain lift only has a view of a back parking lot and Kumba is hidden in the very back of the park. B&M looping coasters are nice, but not my favorites. Kumba, however, delivers well for the genre. Number 3, Cheetah Hunt. Overall, 9. Although not quite a family coaster, the powerful launch nature of this ride easily appeals to kids and families that visit Busch Gardens. The track running through various grasslands and besides various animal exhibits gives the true Busch Gardens experience. The wind catcher does have a 130-foot drop, so this probably isn't a family coaster. But the power launch aspect seems to mask this for most riders as families flock to this line, making it easily one of the longest waits at Busch Gardens Tampa, even on the slowest of days. The ride is enjoyable with the way it tries to throw you out of your seat, and although not one of the best coasters in the world, a solid experience for being at Busch Gardens. Number 2, Shiekra. Overall, 9. Shiekra, as do most dive coasters, just looks beautiful. And despite being a fine coaster, the hold and drop aspect just doesn't seem to do a whole lot in creating an actually good drop feeling. The turns and inversions are smooth, the fake water splash is a pretty element, and everything about Shiekra Off-Ride looks fantastic. But the second drop off the brake run is by far the best part, as I'm normally thrown well out of my seat for that smaller dive. There are great things about dive coasters, but they just lack the ability to make their layout truly special. Number 1, Iron Gwazi. Overall, 9. Built to be one of the best roller coasters in the world, I don't share a total love for Iron Gwazi. The large RMC elements are about as expected and are nice, but not my favorite elements on RMC hybrid coaster. The ejector airtime on this coaster is rough, and you can come off hurting with how much you are slammed into your restraints. What really hurts Iron Gwazi as a coaster for me though, is how the beyond vertical drop just seems to be okay. Every other RMC that I've ridden has had some type of decently solid first drop. But despite its 200-foot size, Iron Gwazi's just seems to be okay, even from the back row. Overall, Busch Gardens Tampa Bay has a very solid and deep lineup of roller coasters, with 6 coasters that I rank as a 7 or higher, and that's not counting Montu, which is arguably the best B&M inverted coaster in America. Busch Gardens has great coasters, but in my opinion, it is missing that truly special coaster. Though, many will find just that coaster in Iron Gwazi. Lower ranked roller coasters are still very solid for what they are, and higher ranked roller coasters are enjoyable but could easily be better. If you're looking for an enjoyable park to ride a variety of different coasters, then Busch Gardens Tampa Bay should easily make your list as a great coaster park. What are your thoughts on Busch Gardens Tampa Bay? Which coasters are your favorite? Which ones are your least favorite? Let me know. And as always, Cup Kun Grap.